Hello everyone, welcome back, and let's continue on with my top 500 games. We are currently at number 462, which is Dr. Mario. What's strange about this particular one is that I have a feeling that I may have played this game when I was very young, or probably not this, more like a cheap knockoff that was like on the Amiga or something. I don't know. I just sort of, like, when I see this game I have a feeling that that's what's happened. But I have actually played this game since then, so I do know I've definitely played this game. It's basically one of those games where, one of those Tetris style games. I call it a puzzle action game, whereby you have blocks or something falling from the top, and you have to line things up in a certain way to make them disappear, or shuffle things around. You know, those types of games. And so Dr. Mario fits into this. You basically the aim of the game is to match up a different segment of these pills to match up and line across with the germs so that you can get rid of them along with the germ, and you have to clear out all the germs to complete the level. It's alright. There are other these types of games which I do prefer, but this is one that I did play and I did have a bit of fun with. The main thing that I don't like about it, the thing that's always like caught me off, was just it's hard to describe. Like, the pills feel really solid. It feels really awkward, like trying to get them to like balance over the edge and stuff, stay like in a line or something. I'm probably talking nonsense, but I know what I'm talking about. Number 461 is Coconut Dodge Revitalized. This is a very simple game. This is the version that was released on the PS Vita. You control as a crab, you have to move left and right and dodge coconuts. There's really not much more I can say about it, apart from you can get more points by collecting certain things. But yeah, it's very simple, but it's one of those games where you have to pay attention at all times so that you know that so that you don't screw up, basically. Yeah, it's alright. I'm gonna do these two quite quickly, but I'm gonna move on to number 460, which is DLC Quest. I don't remember what year this came out in, but it wasn't too long ago, maybe a few years ago now. And it's basically like a platform game that parodies the idea of DLC. Well, it has what they call DLC, but it's more so in-game currency. It's not actual DLC, but they joke about it like you start off by not being able to move left, so you start off by just moving straight ahead to the right, and when you hit the wall you encounter the shopkeeper, who you've just collected a few coins on the way, so you can buy the moving left pack, which is, I've got to say, as a parody it works quite well. As a platform game, it's very simple. It's okay. Like, you meet characters and you've got to like go on quests and stuff. It's more funny than anything else. You buy this DLC with the coins that you find, and the further through the game you go, the more apparent coins become. Like, you find a lot more of them, and it becomes a lot easier to spend them, because obviously they want you to get certain DLC packs, as they call them, at more specific points in the game. Yeah, there's actually more than one mode, like more than one story mode, where you can go through like the main mode, and then there's like an extra mode that you can go through. Quality-wise, both of them are about identical, I'd say. Nothing is particularly amazing about this game. It's got some funny moments. Like, there's one part where there's a guy who asks you to go and fetch some stuff for him, like 3 of these, 4 of these, a pair of shoes, a mushroom, just like a random list of stuff. And then you walk a bit to the left, you find a chest, open it, and there's everything you need. Yeah, that made me laugh. And there's a few jokes in there, like the zombie sheep who they eat grass and it takes over them, and it said, "Who would have thought that a zombie could have been defeated by plants?" You know, little jokes like that. It's alright, but nothing spectacular. Number 459 is a game that I feel gets way too much praise. Not so much as Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons does, but I think this is a game that gets way too much praise, and that is Thomas Was Alone. Sometimes I feel that when people talk about things positively, they sort of overcompensate. Like, I remember seeing a review or something, or it was like a quote that was used, like saying Thomas Was Alone has the best jumping mechanics in any platform game. Like, the best jumping, I don't know, I feel like they're just making stuff up for the sake of pretentiousness, maybe? But the idea of Thomas Was Alone was that you have all these characters who are different cubes, not cubes, it's 2D, different rectangles and squares, and you can like switch between characters and you can like jump on the characters. They each have a name. Thomas and Chris and Laura and all that, but they're all different, like different size rectangles and squares, and the idea is the James is sort of like inverted so that like gravity works backwards for James. You've got like these levels where you can have James stand on top or like underneath Thomas, but because James's gravity is upwards and Thomas's gravity is down, it's quite strange. But yeah, it's quite interesting, and it's very puzzle based. You know, you've got like the different areas where only a particular character can fit through this gap, or you need to use this other character as a ledge, or this other character is bouncy. You've got this narrator who tells you the story, but it's yeah, whatever. I'm not really bothered by it. My main issue with the game is that it's so easy. Like this is the same thing I had with Brothers as well. Like the puzzles are just, you use the character who can jump as a ledge for the character who can't jump very high, so that they can get onto the higher ledge, and you have a few different variations of this. To me, it's so simple to the point where you have to like solve these puzzles, but by the time like you see the puzzle, it takes a lot longer to implement the solution than it takes to solve it. So you can look at it, solve it, and then you've got to spend the time pulling it off, like getting the characters like jump on each other and jump off this and all that. But to me, the game got the most interesting towards the end, because you get these characters which are kind of more flexible, like they can adopt other characters' abilities and stuff, and it starts getting more complicated, and you start actually having to think about it. And when you just get used to these new characters and it feels like you've just been put into the game, it ends like that's the end of the game. So that's what my issue with Thomas Was Alone is. It was alright. I want to make clear that I'm not just saying it was alright as a try to justify why it was on this list to begin with. Like, I've gone through this all in the first video. I'm not going to go through it again. Number 458 is Wipeout HD. Man, this game is hard. This is the Wipeout that came out on the PS3. It was one of the earliest PS3 games I got, and it was a digital game as well. I don't think it came out physically, but it was one of those games where I felt like I really struggled with it. I mean, there was a few races where I could get like the gold medals or whatever they were, but after the first few, it's just so hard. Like, I understand like it's Wipeout, you go really fast, but the big issue I had was that if it seemed like you had to hit the arrows, because the arrows speed you up. You have to hit the arrows. If you don't hit the arrows, you've lost. It seemed very reliant on that. And it seemed like, I think there was this whole thing like where you had like these levels where you had to like unlock medals on this hexagonal grid to expand out and unlock more levels that you could do at different points on this grid, which is fun, but that might be wrong, but that's what my memory says. If the races were easier, I think I'd like this game a lot more. I think it was just too hard for me, that's all. Number 457 is another really old game that is a classic that everyone should know, which is Space Invaders. But the version that I played was the Amiga version. It wasn't actually the classic version where you got all the barriers and you could shoot through the barriers to hit the aliens. There wasn't any of that. It did have like the like spaceship that like travels across the top of the screen, but aside from that, it was just Space Invaders. You shoot the aliens, you gotta like dodge the bullets, and I had a pretty decent time with it. I remember the aliens had different colours to them, so like the bottom ones were red, and then the ones above that were green, and the top ones were blue. I remember, like, if you failed, like one of the little red aliens came onto the screen and it said, like, game over or something like that. I don't remember. Well, I do remember, but I don't remember exactly what it says. Number 456 was a game that I did play quite a bit, but I didn't actually... It was one of those games where I kind of got a grasp onto the rules, but it's Speedball 2, like one of those futuristic sports games where you have to grab the ball and like run around like the arena, and you gotta like throw it into the goal and stuff. And because it was a futuristic sports game, the thing that stood out to me about this was that you could have different arenas. It wasn't just like a football field. You had different arenas. It had quite a strange theme to it as well. Everything was quite metallic. It had that futuristic style to it. You know, like typical futuristic where everything's like robots and stuff. But it wasn't quite robots. It was more metallic. It's hard to describe. Number 455 is Boom Boom Rocket. This is a game that I got on the Xbox 360 live marketplace, I believe. It's like a rhythm game where you have to press A, X, Y, or B in time with the music, or up, down, left, or right. These little things went up. They were meant to be like fireworks, and you press the button at the right time to match in time with music. It's a rhythm game. There's really not a lot to say about it. And I realise I'm going through these games at this point. I realise I'm going through these pretty fast, or at least it seems like I am. But really, there's really not much to say about it. But yeah, you've got these arrows, and they're in the different colours representative of the different controller buttons. Number 454 is Cover Orange 2. This is a game that is like it's one of those flash games that you it was on, I think it was on More Fun Zone that I played it on. What actually happened was it was one of those like really like casual games, you know, like that you get where you got like just like a list of levels, you just gotta go through the levels. But the way that this one worked is that you had like an orange and you had to drop items and put items in this level so that once everything was said and done, the cloud would come along, like the evil cloud, and would rain like all over the level, and you had to like protect the orange from the rain. So it might have to like drop a wheel to like knock it along a bit, and then you'd have to like put a plank down so that it can roll along a particular path so that it could find shelter. The next game is number 453, which is Dr. Kawashima's Brain Training. How old is your brain? And that is the name of the game. I know that in America the game is called Brain Age, but I know it by the name Dr. Kawashima's Brain Training. How old is your brain? So that's what I'm calling it. This was a brain training game, if you can't tell. It was one of those. It was one of those very early Nintendo DS. Let's mark it outside of the gamer community type games that came along, and I did get this game, and I remember there was the whole, you gotta do like maths, so you gotta like do like a few like additions and subtractions, and you gotta like see how fast you can do it, and you gotta write on the screen, and that was quite a bit of a novelty, like the whole writing on the screen thing. You also had daily challenges where it's like, ooh, get your daily fix of your brain exercise thing. I realised I wasn't the target audience for this, but I got it anyway. And it was alright, and I've got to stop saying it was alright every time. I've got to, it might just be bugging, I don't know if it's bugging anyone else here, but me ending all these with saying it was alright is starting to bug me. I'm sorry, I'm going to try to stop doing that, because it always annoys me. If I'm watching a I'm going off topic here, I know, but if I'm watching a Let's Play and people are always like mutter the same phrases over and over, it gets on my nerves, so I'll try to stop. But Dr. Kawashima's Brain Training, How Old Is Your Brain? Was okay. There you go, it was okay. I actually remember one of the things I used to do was I remember when you completed like your daily challenge for the day, you got to like put a stamp on the date, and it had like this calendar, and I remember thinking to myself, what happens if I complete all like and get like a daily challenge done on all of those days in that month? Will something special like happen, or will something unlock? It didn't. September 30th is actually my birthday, so the final day on it was my birthday, so for my birthday present from Dr. Kawashima's Brain Training, I got nothing, but I wasn't really expecting anything. I was just curious to see if something would come up. There was quite a few interesting games on it, like aside from the maths ones. One that I remember beside that mostly is one where you got the word of a colour, and you got to like speak the name of the colour that's equal. That's the colour but not the word that's written down. Easy way to do that. Just blur your vision a bit, then you can't read the word. So yeah, that I managed to do that one pretty easily. I remember mostly doing this like in the kitchen when I was in my nana's house, so I was like out of the way. So I wasn't bugging anyone by saying red, green, blue, yellow over and over again. 452 is Bucket Ball 2, which is another like online browser-based flash game, similar to Cover Orange 2. But this one, and again, not much to say about this. You've got these different balls in this level, and you've got the different buckets. You have to aim the ball to shoot into the bucket, and you'll have like different obstacles around, like walls that you can knock it against, and all that stuff. You know, the typical type of stuff, like things on hinges, that sort of stuff. Yeah, really got nothing. Really got nothing else to say about that game. But the next game I kind of do, another browser-based game, number 451, is a game called Achievement Unlocked. Now, Achievement Unlocked it was made by Armour Games, and this was another parody of the idea of you get achievements for simple things like pressing start. The way that in Achievement Unlocked worked was that there was like 100 achievements, and it was this level where you control an elephant in this single room, and there was like a list of like 150 achievements or something, and every time you unlocked one it popped up saying like ding 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 ding, like every time you got an achievement. And there were some achievements which were very like rather specific, like touch all of the numbers in order without dying. So you have to go to the 1 and then to the 2 and then to the 3, then 4, then 5 or whatever. And there was some like you have to touch all the walls, or you have to die in each individual spike, or die in a spike and have your corpse touch a wall. It had like this circus music and just like this platform moving back and forth, and just this like arena. But then when you start the game, like the joke is that because it's so easy to unlock achievements, a lot of the achievements, I'm not going to say most because I don't know, but a lot of the achievements you're never going to find out what they are because you unlock them so easily. Like you'll have an achievement for having touched the floor, which is you start the game basically. There's the achievement for playing for 1 second. There's the achievement for moving. There's the achievement for moving to the right. There's an achievement for jumping. You know, all these things where you'll never notice them. So what will generally happen when you play this game is you'll load the game up. You'll just start walking around doing a bunch of random things, like seeing like all these pop-ups and all these bleeps. And you'll just ignore them, like they'll just go bleep 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 bleep, and you'll just ignore them. And then eventually it gets to that point where it's like, right, okay, I'm going to check to see what I've got left. So you'll scroll through this massive list of achievements that you've got, and then you'll have one which is like, okay, turn the volume off. Right, okay, I can do that. And then you got this other one. It sounds silly, and I know it's a joke. It's funny for a single playthrough. That's the best thing I can say about it. And I actually think I'm just going to end this one here. So next time we will continue forward from number 450. Hey, we've actually got the first 50 done, it seems. So yeah, 50 done, 450 to go. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. Bye.